What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. Let's talk about Holy Paladin in Season 2 of the War Within coming up. Again, not till about February, but I want to look at the patch notes here that are coming. People have been telling me that Holy Paladin is getting nerfed in Season 2, and I'm not really sure. I understand what they mean, but I think people are taking it too far. So let's dive into that and what actual changes are happening for Paladin in Season 2. I've been playing a lot of Paladin the last couple of weeks, like 4 or 5 hours a day, every day on stream, just pumping Holy Paladin, really enjoying it. I've been playing mostly Herald of the Sun. I'll get into the difference between that and Lightsmith in a minute because a lot of people play Lightsmith. Let's look at the patch notes. Paladin. For Season 2, the Goblin patch, Undermine. First of all, Seal of the Crusader has its healing reduced by 50%, and Lightforge Blessing is going down by 50%, because 2% to 1% is 50%. Now, if we look at the actual healing numbers of both of these abilities, they're not really that crazy, okay? We've got Lightforge Blessing right here. Make this a little bit bigger so you can just see it. Come on. There we go. Lightforge Blessing is right here, 1.6%, and Seal the Crusader is 1.4%. These are both getting reduced by 50%. I don't know what I'm doing with my fingers. So, is that a huge problem? Not really. I mean, this overheals for 70%. This overheals for 40% on average, okay? So, to me, what that basically says is, like, these are going to do less healing, but they're probably going to overheal less as well. So it's probably not really a net loss at all. It's barely a net loss, in my opinion. If they were reducing the power of Eternal Flame or Beacon or Holy Shock, then that would be really concerning because those are your main abilities. These are not your main healing abilities. They're extra little bonus healing abilities that you get, and they basically overheal. A large portion of their effect is just going to get overhealed. So Lightforge Blessing, Seal of the Crusader going down by 50%, not the end of the world, in my opinion. Okay. Adjust Reward is now more rewarding, increased by 140%. That is this talent right here, which I don't even take. So after you cleanse somebody, you heal them. Instead of it doing 85,000 healing, it's going to end up doing like 220,000 healing, basically, which still probably doesn't really matter. That's like one Holy Shock. It's actually one Holy Shock. So does that really matter? After you cleanse somebody, you hit them with like an ability that does the same as a Holy Shock? Maybe, not really. It probably doesn't matter. It's nice it's getting buffed, but in order for it to be like really substantial, it would probably have to be a lot more healing, but then it would become like a mandatory talent. Probably don't want that. Blinding Light and Repentance now break on damage threshold instead of breaking on any damage. Okay, they break on like a certain amount rather than just right away. Okay. Herald of the Sun. Dawnlight prefers players over creature summons. Very good. So instead of targeting a warlock pet, it's going to make sure it's targeting the warlock itself. Okay. Very good quality of life. Templar is not for us. Let's go to Holy. Okay. New talents are coming in. Unbound Freedom. Blessing of Freedom. Increased move speed by 30%. You gain Blessing of Freedom when cast on a friendly target. This is an amazing talent that I wish we had right now, and we don't. So, it's a choice note with Echoing Blessings, so we're gonna have to see. It might not even be something we can actually take because Echoing Blessings is like really strong, because when you put Blessing of Protection or Blessing of Sacrifice on somebody, it reduces their damage taken by 15%. So Sac does 30% already. This makes Sacrifice do 45% DR. I'm pretty sure anyway. So I don't think you could probably get away with taking this extra movement speed thing, which would be Unbound Freedom. So this will be a new choice node right here, Unbound Freedom or Echoing Blessings. Whether or not we can actually take it or not is probably not possible because Echoing Blessings is just way too strong, but we'll have to see. Unending Light has been redesigned, now causes holy power spent on Word of Glory to increase the healing of Light of Dawn. That's over here. Right here. So right now, it makes every holy power spent on Light of Dawn increases the healing of Word of Glory by 5%. They're inverting that. So they're saying every holy power you spend on Word of Glory will buff Light of Dawn. Now, you tend to spend a lot more holy power on WoG than you do on Light of Dawn. So that's probably a better direction for them to go. But it doesn't really change anything, if I'm honest. Light's Conviction now additionally causes Holy Shock to refund half of its mana cost when cast offensively. That's a really hard thing to say right there. Is that down here? Where's the Light's Conviction? Oh, it's over here, right? I guess they moved it. Lights Conviction. Oh, it's up there. I'm an idiot. Sorry. Wait, what? Oh, they're adding it to this. Sorry. So you're going to have mana recovery from Reclamation now. Holy Shock is a chance to refund up to 10%. And you're going to get it now on Light's Conviction, which is like for free because you're always taking Light's Conviction anyway. So Holy Shock will refund half of its mana cost when cast offensively. That is really cool, actually. I don't know if that's going to work with Divine Toll. We'll have to wait and see. Like, you could get a huge chunk of mana back from Divine Toll if you cast it offensively and do 5 Holy Shocks. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay, Flash of Light mana cost reduced by, it's 3 times less than it is right now. 3 times less. Okay, that's kind of insane, but it's going to do 25% less healing. Okay. Holy Light's healing going up by 90% is huge because they're nerfing essentially Infusion of Light and Inflorescence a little bit. So here's what all these lines of text basically say right here. Flash of Light and Holy Light are now going to be stronger without having either an infusion buff or inflorescence, which inflorescence just buffs your infusion buff, right? So without having infusion, your baseline spells are just stronger, which is great. So you can cast a Holy Light on somebody without having any buff at all, and it's going to hit them really hard, okay? Which is awesome. And then if you have infusion, it will further buff those abilities, just like it does right now, but it'll be less of a buff with infusion because the baseline ability is already very strong. So this is nice. It's nice to get that, in my opinion. Very, very good. Okay, here's the stuff that people are complaining about. This is the huge thing that people are complaining about. Hammer and Anvil healing down by 20%. That's whatever. This is for Lightsmith. Blessed Assurance now increases the damage of Crusader Strike by 20%, was 180%. This is what people are crying about. This talent right here. People were running Lightsmith, and when you go into melee wings, right? When you have Avenging Crusader running, your Crusader Strike and your Judgment do extra damage, and then they convert their damage into healing. This basically was making it so that your Crusader Strike was doing omega damage, like crazy amounts of damage, and then converting that into healing. So it was very, very strong for melee wings. And people are saying that the entire spec is dead now because in season 2, because this is getting nerfed from 120% to 20%. And to me, I just think that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Number one, Divine Guidance is a great talent. So 2 things are going to happen here, right? People are either going to continue to play Lightsmith and just switch to Divine Guidance, which is a perfectly good talent. It does a lot of healing and damage, actually. By the end of a key, Divine Guidance can be anywhere from 3 to 5% of your overall healing, which is really cool, or your damage. It does a ton of damage as well. Or they're going to switch to Herald of the Sun, which I have been running exclusively while I've been doing my keys. And I think the damage and healing from Herald of the Sun is perfectly fine. Here's just a quick example of what I've been doing. Oh, sorry. Turn the volume down to like 0. So the difference between Lightsmith and Herald of the Sun, in my opinion, one of the biggest differences is that Herald of the Sun has to set up its dawn lights first before it presses wings. And then when you do that, you get all these beams that are hitting everybody, and it's amazing. Lightsmith doesn't have to do any of that. They just press wings, and you get an extra shield or an extra sword that is sent out to somebody, right? It's very simple that way. So this Herald of the Sun here, right here, I press my Holy Prism in a second. Watch this. Holy Prism is my shift 2 right there. I press it, and then I set up a Dawn Light down on the Druid, and then I press Shield of the Righteous, which sets up a Dawn Light on the enemy. Okay, there's Shield of the Righteous. There's a Dawn Light somewhere in here, and then I press my wings, and I'm going to get beams going through everybody. Here we go. Boom. There's the beams. There's 3 beams, and I'm pulling them through all the enemies. So all 3 beams are hitting every single enemy, and it's also healing my allies in the background as well. And the numbers just go crazy here, and my damage just starts to skyrocket on the left side. We're doing 600k, 620k, and I'm healing for 800k. Like, these are the kinds of moments that you can pull off with Herald of the Sun that you can't pull off with Lightsmith because it's just not set up the same way. And I think the only problem with Herald of the Sun is that it requires a little bit more setup than Lightsmith does to make it kind of work as I just showed you. And there's so many moments that I have, so many moments where I have these crazy setups where I'm just doing a ton of damage and a ton of healing. I think it's really, really strong. So I think that's the only real problem that I see for Holy Paladin going into season 2, is that you're either going to play Lightsmith with a nerfed version of the Crusader Strike talent, or you just flip to the Divine Guidance talent where your consecration is doing a bunch of extra healing and a bunch of extra damage. You either just switch to that talent, or you're going to play Herald of the Sun, which I think is perfectly acceptable. All my keys that I've been doing have been done with Herald of the Sun, and it performs really well. It performs really, really well. So that would be my main conclusion here for this big nerf that's happening to Holy Paladin. First of all, it's really just not getting nerfed that much at all. This is the only real nerf that I see. The rest of it is really good. There's great quality of life coming in here for Holy Light, especially doing a ton of extra healing without you needing an infusion buff. That's really, really strong. And then there's some slight nerfs to like healing abilities that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Okay. Yeah, that's, you know, there's some quality of life coming in here, but it probably won't matter. There's some mana refunding, which is actually really good. So if you want to use your Holy Shock offensively, you get some mana back. Otherwise, guys, I don't really see what the nerfs are all about, or why everybody's crying about Holy Paladin. I've had so many people tell me on stream and in some of my YouTube comments as well. They're like, man, Holy Paladin is just going to really struggle in season 2. They're getting nerfed so hard. It's like, they're not. Their entire kit does not revolve around Blessed Assurance with the Crusader Strike. It's not. There's lots of other things going on that make Holy Paladin perfectly acceptable as a healer. And in all the keys that I've been doing, I mean, we're getting lots of really good healing out of Eternal Flame, my Beacon. You know, when you put Beacon of Virtue on everybody and you press Divine Toll, or you put Beacon of Virtue on everybody and you press your melee wings, and you've got the beams going out with Beacon of Virtue, it's just like the healing is just like ding, 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 because they're getting healed by Dawn Lights. They're getting healed by the beams that are coming out from me, Sun's avatar, and then it's all converting into beacon healing. It's the coolest thing ever. Like, I think it's really fun and really cool. And I would highly encourage, if you haven't tried Herald of the Sun yet for Holy Paladin, you should give it a shot, because it is very, very fun. It does a lot of damage. It does a lot of healing. And I'm going to keep pumping it on my stream. If you guys want to check it out, it's twitch.tv/ZukoVibes. I'm going to be playing this every day for the next week or so until the PTR comes out, and then I can start testing things in Season 2, and I'll give you guys updates on everything happening in Season 2. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about Holy Paladin in Season 2. Are you worried about these patch notes that I went over? Do you think that Holy Paladin is dead because Blessed Assurance is getting turbo nerfed? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I would love to hear from all of you. I think if you're worried about Holy Paladin, you should not be. It's going to be absolutely fine in Season 2. It'll be really good, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. I will see you in the next one.